Test, 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 test. Okay. Help future proof self-awareness. Welcome to this month's topic. What we're going to be talking about this month is self-awareness. And I think this actually fits very nicely into the topic we had last month's continual growth improvement. Alan Mulally, the former CEO of Ford, who's responsible for perhaps one of the greatest corporate turnarounds in business history, actually said that self-awareness is the single greatest opportunity for continual growth, improvement, and performance. Continual growth, improvement, and performance. Self-awareness, single greatest opportunity for continual growth, improvement, and performance. Said that self-awareness is the single greatest opportunity for continual growth, self-performance, and improvement. Not self-performance, just performance. Single greatest opportunity for continual growth. God, why did you have to make it so complicated? And when I was doing research and putting some materials together for this course, I actually came across an article that the Harvard Business Review put out, which I thought had a fantastic title that summarizes all of this. And the title of the HBR article was Self-Awareness, everything's still recording, good. Now there are a couple signs that usually, the first thing that I want to encourage you to do is to make a list. My dad would always say, Jacob, take a piece of paper, fold it in half. Terrible. All right, I gotta put this paper closer to me. And I would literally write down all of my strengths and all of my weaknesses. Actually, that's not true. It was pros and cons, so I gotta redo that. Okay, second thing. And then once you collect this information, you can compare that to what people actually say about you in this step and see if those things align. Do they match up, or was there... And in that podcast, I interview a lot of executives at various companies around the world. Of course, the baby messes it up. I can't remember if any of that worked through, so I'll just redo that. Now, I try to practice meditation even sometimes in shorter snippets before I get on stage. Clearly, I'm thinking about work too much. I need to focus on doing non-work related stuff. It's kind of cute though. Meditation is also great for trying to control your thoughts. So these are the three things that we're going to do. Simple, practical, it's not going to take a lot of effort, but it's also something that I think is going to have a dramatic impact on your life, both in a professional and in a business setting. Dogs, of course. Blake, can you please put the dogs down? I'll see you guys next month. Yeah, I don't like to see you guys next month. I will see you guys very soon. It sounded weird. I'll see you very soon. I gotta take more control over what's going on in my life, and I need to learn how to say no. And I'm sure that you are going through many of these similar challenges inside of your organization. Or even in your, let's scratch that part and we'll use this part instead. And there are several other reasons why we are not very good at saying no. This means that you're also, I think I already said more productive. Focus also means saying no to the hundreds other, but didn't push the record button. That's just great. I also remember a little while ago, I was either listening to a podcast or I heard this on at a talk somewhere, and the person was saying that you should, on a scale of 1 to 10, you should look at So we talked about setting up those boundaries, right? Building that fence, So we talked about setting up those boundaries. The good fences make for great And if you're like most people, your smartphone, and I'm assuming you have a smartphone, is constantly within arm's reach. You go to bed with it, you wake up with it, you eat dinner with it, you go on vacation with it, it goes with you everywhere. It's kind of like an additional limb. You go everywhere with it. It's kind of like an additional limb. Oh my God, those dogs. Okay, let's scratch that part. They stopped. Why do I have dogs? Not only is it good for your professional life and your mental sanity, it's also good for you to kind of level set and think. Blake, can you please control the dogs? Wife comes home and dogs go nuts. All right, focus again. Don't even remember where I left off. They carry flip phones with them, and when they leave work, those smartphones are disconnected. They're put away, and they only have that flip phone with them. No, that's not how it was. There's even a proposal in New York for organizations that have 10 employees or more to make it illegal for organizations with 10 employees or more to make it illegal for employees. The person with the fixed mindset is focused on the effort and on trying harder. The person with, I can't remember if I said growth or fixed, focusing on the effort. And this is why, if you're able to embrace this concept of a growth mindset, while we're also constantly obsessed with how we look. We're also constantly obsessed with how we look. Some schools today, especially at the younger level, man, can't get the words out. On the other hand, if you work for a manager or leader who believes, dog barking, man, those dogs. Ugh, dogs. Okay, where was I? People with a growth mindset are 69% more likely to report that their organization supports risk-taking. Well, 65%. Man, I'll get it right in a second. But now I want to talk a little bit more about how we can start to get rid of that negative kind of mentality and way of thinking and think about how you can grow and learn from the challenge that you were faced with. In fact, there was an interesting study that was done not too long ago where a bunch of participants were told to bike, but this time they were biking next to an avatar of themselves, and they were told, this month we're going to be talking about learning to learn. Heather also cited a statistic from McKinsey, which found that 87% Heather also cited a statistic in her article from McKinsey. Okay, back. Think about some of the world's greatest leaders. Thomas Edison, Steve Jobs, the Wright brothers, all of these people were perpetual learners. Actually, nope. Let's remove that. The point, again, is to give yourself time to explore. If you're a manager and a leader, you should make sure that you give your employees some time to explore. In fact, PwC recently launched a program called Digital Accelerators. Athena! I also do things on a regular basis to learn which are outside of work. Why did this thing? You need to be accountable. You need to make yourself, you need to make sure that you have the time to do these things. You. Hello, this is Jacob.
Hey, Jacob.
Oh, you're outside by the garage? Wait. Now today in month 7, we're going to talk about this idea of being friends with technology. Technology is... Okay, the camera is still there. I'm not going to remember that quote. We will succeed in the digital era only if we... And I think this is exactly what we're starting to see in our organizations as well. It's not So take a step back and just do a technology audit. Look at the different tools that you use, the different platforms that you use, how you use are you having a hard time keeping on top? For example, the Royal Bank of Scotland uses the business version. That's it for this month's video. Leave. Blake, turn off your music. I'm recording. I can hear your music. The bottom line is this: be the owner. Pretend that you are the person who was. Pretend that you. The bottom line is be the owner. Okay. And the reason why this is crucial is because flexible work is a. So flexible work has almost done. In fact, a 2018 Monster.com survey found that some of the most desirable skills were creativity. Earlier in this course, we talked about this notion of being a perpetual learner, but you can also apply that to learning. Earlier in this course, we talked about this notion of being a perpetual learner, but be that AdSense came from an entrepreneur inside of the company who was able to use 20% of his time. I don't know if it was a he or a she. I'll look up how to say this dude's name. And building credibility takes time, and it's important to have that network and also a little bit of that. I'm gonna do that section again because that was terrible. Come on, microphone. Welcome back. Phone call. So take some time out of your day, and during these regular check-ins, try to understand the goals that your boss has set out for his or herself. His or herself? Him or herself? I don't know. For his self, himself, herself. Okay, that's not correct, so I need to fix that. 2 other things that you can do: meet deadlines, or better yet, even exceed deadlines. Not exceed deadlines. Exceed deadlines? Too often inside of our organizations, we work in these types of corporate cultures where employees are pitted against each other, where they're trying to put each other out. Man, this is exhausting to do again. So I have to redo everything, which kind of sucks. Okay.